Hey guys, it's San and welcome back to the BulbaSquad. So today we're going to be doing a slightly different video. I'm going to be tackling some misconceptions I see that are roaming about the hobby and could very well either hurt your investment or at the very least you are doing yourself a disservice by not acknowledging. Because these misconceptions create additional layers of risk that you realistically don't need to take on in an already massively speculative hobby that is just riddled with risk and misinformation. You need to realize the truths about these things. So, let's go ahead and tackle them. Number one, you guys, I know some of you aren't going to like it. It's okay, because it is hard to accept. I get it. No, kids will grow up and collect what we think they will collect. What this means is, let's say me, theoretically, I would like to believe people grow up and collect this Magikarp Gyarados poncho. It's entirely possible that doesn't happen. Even though they're gorgeous cards, I think they're beautiful. It's possible. Let me give you a perfect example. The Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield era. So when it comes to these two, people didn't think people would actually collect Rainbow Rares. Like, it was kind of torn. People didn't like them. Along with the fact that people thought they were kind of printed to oblivion. No one was interested. Sun and Moon era, overall, the collector, there's kind of a disconnect. There were a number of generations, so not generations of children, but like people who grew up with each generation, that didn't like the Sun and Moon era. A number of people don't like the Sword and Shield era. So that's something we already developed. We think that's how it was. But then Sun and Moon turned around and became worth a small fortune every set. Like, who thought Tag Team would be $700? But let's turn it around and go to cards. Full art trainers. So full art trainers were basically worthless. There were only a handful of them that held any real substantial value, and no one cared about them until last year. Suddenly, people liked them. Suddenly, people cared about them. So, the thing about that is, some of you are going to argue that possibly I think they're pretty, they're going to be undervalued because they are, I think they're very pretty. Perhaps you even try to throw objectivity into it. You think it's objectively pretty. Well, the thing is, subjectiveness exists. Subjectiveness is what we project onto the item. We think it's pretty, so everyone must think it's pretty. And then you'll make the argument that, well, I thought full art trainers were pretty, and so I speculated in them, so clearly I was right. Like, this was objectively pretty, but the thing is, you didn't know that was going to happen. The only way we can make an actual objective prediction of what will happen for the future is if you decide to look at a card or a category of cards, and if they historically have repeatedly performed, for example, certain Pokemon like Charizard and Espeon or Umbreon, different cards like that, even Mews and Mewtwo's, those technically perform, then that is an objectively good thing to look at, and perhaps you could spec on it for the future, because it's performed historically, it performs right now, therefore it might perform in the future. Whereas if we go with something that has never performed, like, let's say, break cards, well, you don't know what's going to happen with those. Because clearly, no one wants them. They haven't really performed at all. You're betting on the entirety of the demand changing, and suddenly they want them. That's just not a safe bet to make. And so that's all I got for you guys on that one. So we'll move on to the second point. There will be a repeat of 2020 price spikes. So, yes, I understand some of you don't believe that it won't happen. I'll repeat it. Yes, there will be a repeat of 2020 price spikes. I understand some of you believe this won't happen, others believe it won't. But here's what I want to really get down and dirty with it. The 2020 was a speculator-driven market. So, what this means is, the foundation of any hobby, of any TCG like this that has a true secondary market is the collectors. That is the real demand. Once we hit that demand, we're really not going to go lower because that's where the collectors are. The space in between the collectors and the speculators, that's all dangerous. That's where we can fall. That's the floor. That's what happened earlier this year with Vintage. Specifically, base set Unlimited, and more recently, what is happening with XY Evolutions. It's why the prices are still holding far above where they were in 2020. Like mid and early 2020, not late. Late was insane. But it's not going back to where it was before. because there was a layer of collector demand upholding it. Now, what this means is you're essentially betting that we will have another period of growth in the future where speculators are going to become the dominant force in the market and drive prices up at the rate they did before. You're basically betting that, all right, from 1999 up to 2019 or whatever, those gains, that's no longer the norm. And remember, even between then, there was still one boom that was slightly different from this one. Now, I'm going to see more 100,000 percentage gains growths, because that's what people believe. Like, I'm not joking. There are some people who believe that something like, Vivid Voltage, I don't have one up here, or Evolving Skies will be like $2,000 to $3,000 in the future. This is very dangerous. You don't want to accept this mindset, because it means you have unrealistic price expectations. Instead of believing we're going to have a repeat of 2020, I would propose you try to believe we're going to have a repeat of Hidden Fates. Or perhaps 2017, kind of with Pokemon Go Boom, because that was an actual organic thing that Pokemon the company caused. Not something that was just completely random and occurred in the world, the pandemic. Because, honestly, I hope no one recreates that. So that's what I'm talking about. Don't worry, there's a bright side to all this, and I'll cover it at the end. Number 3. I can take old Level X cards, break cards, prime cards, booster boxes, put them in the closet for 10 to 20 years, and then sell them and they'll be worth more. Yes, I know, going based off of history, this is correct, but here's the thing. I want to warn against this just because it's a lie you've been told. It is a straight up lie. Okay, I'm just going to say it outright. The idea of just setting it in a closet for 10, 20 years and then selling for a profit, the reason I say it's a lie is because no one on YouTube and no one who's actually made money in the hobby just does that. Like I said in one of my past videos, look at Rudy, look at SM Pratt. Why does SM Pratt have an eBay with literal hundreds of listings every day? There's so much on that page. So much getting churned and burned, getting put back up. Why does Rudy have his Patreon to sell stuff? Before 2020, because I know a lot of us didn't discover him till then. Before then, he even sold old booster boxes, equivalent to like the Team Rocket sets. We could even go as far as saying the Gen 2 sets. They have equivalent to that. He was selling it. What's he doing? He's reducing his exposure. He's reducing the money he has actually tied up in the sets. Therefore, reducing his cost basis because he's selling. Do you understand now? Everyone flips in this hobby. We don't just put the money in and leave it. Don't do that. Because the only place you should be doing that in is a real financial market. In that case, go to a financial advisor. They'll guide you to the stock market. They'll handle it. Don't do anything. Don't look at it for 10, 20 years. Boom, you're good. Not this, okay? Because taking the other two into account, we don't know if kids will want to collect any of this in 10, 20 years. We don't know if we'll have a repeat of 2017, 2020, I don't want that to happen again. But we don't know if there will be another catalyst to cause the market to explode. So those two things alone make it so that in 10, 20 years, your collection might not have appreciated like at all. You don't believe me? Perfect example. There was Legendary Collection. There was Neo Discovery. Those didn't appreciate for over a decade. I'm not joking. A decade. Now for those of you who actually made it this far, I need to explain some stuff. Number 4, okay, I just threw this in as a bright side. Acknowledging all of this does not telling you to not do this. Acknowledging all of this will make you a better investor. Any good investor worth his salt is willing to accept the risks and the misconceptions they have made along the way in order to become better and improve. Accepting that kids may not collect what you think they will means you could accept the fact that you shouldn't just hold this in your closet for 10, 20 years because you don't know what's going to happen. Accepting the fact that we're probably never going to have a repeat of 2020, but we might have other little catalysts like Pokemon Go, like Hidden Fates. means you understand that there's going to be portions in the market that can still grow and boom every now and again, so long as you actually know what you're doing and doing your due diligence. Accepting that it's just blatantly risky and honestly just dumb to just stick it in your closet for a decade or two and not do anything, you're accepting that you need to be active in this hobby if you're going to make money off of it, if that's your goal. So if you combine all of this, you end up with a very good approach, okay? It's not all that different from my own. Buy what has good fundamentals based off of what you've seen historically perform, like to what I referred to in the first points. What has objectively been good in the past, go for it. Now, as prices begin to appreciate and you see certain milestones being hit, price milestones, go check out that video. I'm going to put it on the screen right now. Then use them, sell as you see things coming, because you don't know how many more catalysts there will be, or if even the hobby might die, because we think it's impossible for it to die in the next 10, 20, 30 years. But the truth is, we don't know. People's taste could completely change. Outside of Pokemon, it could completely change to the point that people go, I don't want to invest in Pokemon, and the percentage gains drop dramatically because speculators are no longer fueling this fire. And for 3, because you know that that's not going to happen within 10, 20 years, that it's better not to do that, you can kind of churn and burn your inventory. You have, like I said before, keep your collection small, keep your inventory large. You want a genuine picture of my collection? I have like 3 slabs down there, maybe 1 box I keep, my 2 ponchos, and then all the generation stuff. Okay, that's it for collection. Like everything else is inventory. The generation stuff is my editors. But that is the amalgamation of all 3 of these. Because you accepted that they're risks, you are able to move forward with a much better idea, and you can actually profiteer off of it. Because honestly, if you're on this channel, it's because you're trying to figure out how to profiteer off of this hobby. So tell me, what did you guys think of this style of video? Did you enjoy that if you actually made it through all of those just hard-hitting lessons? Because I know for some people it is hard-hitting, because it hit me hard sometimes too. And then I show you, okay, this is the benefit that comes out of this. Would you want me to kind of do that style more, or we're going to front-load it with some negatives, then the bright side if you manage to make it all through, because I don't like the whole idea of spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. And anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, you could always support us on Patreon. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.